maybe not too gruesome, but. All right, guys, what's going on? This is my first stab at long form content, so I'm not super used to being behind the camera like this. So bear with me there. But I just want to go over some of the stuff I've been using for night hunting and kind of the way that I have my gear set up. So right now I am using a Sig Cross. This is an 18-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, and I am hand loading 90 grain Varmageddons in here, and they're hauling. They're going 3350. So out to 300 yards, there's pretty much no drop. So it's pretty good for coyotes doing some night hunting. On top here, I've got a Pulsar Thermion XG50. I've had this scope for 3 years. It's pretty awesome. The clarity is really good. It has a 3x base mag. If you're going to do any sort of night hunting out west, I think that having a higher base mag, like a unit like this, or some of the others that are similar, is much better because out here, there's a lot of open fields, a lot of agriculture. Um, Generally, a lot of the shots we take on coyotes are pretty far, between 200 to 300 yards. So you get a lot more clarity with that base mag. But a couple things, just quality of life with this rifle that I've set up specifically for night hunting. I've got here, so this is a flashlight, visible laser, IR light, and IR laser combo. So the reason this is handy is, number one, if you shoot a coyote out in the sagebrush in the dark, it's pretty hard to find them if you don't have a way to mark them. So what's handy about having a scope that records and this laser is you can actually lock your tripod, stick that laser right on where you shot the coyote based on the video, and then that'll help you as you walk out to go find that coyote and recover the coyote or other animals. And then it's also nice to have the IR laser so that if you're with someone that's using a night vision scope or nods, you can help them locate animals if they haven't quite seen something, because obviously thermal is the king of locating things. Night vision is great for PID. Um, end of the rifle here, I've got a Silencer Co. Harvester. This is the older one. I don't know what the new one's called, but this is kind of the OG Harvester. It's a pretty lightweight can. It is really long, but it does really well. Overall, I'm happy with it. And then so you can't probably see this. We'll probably cut some footage in, but right here, it's obviously cold. I'm in Idaho. It's always cold here hunting, and so uh, the scope battery does pretty well, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra battery. And so over here, I've got this like super cheap Amazon universal flashlight mount, and then I just put some electrical tape around it to get this battery to the right thickness. Then I can just run that on my scope and it's mounted. So I don't have to worry about extra cables or holding something. In the past, I've put a rubber band around my handguard and held a battery, but this is just a lot more secure and it's a lot easier to deal with. Uh, in the dark, the simpler the better. You don't want to have to be screwing around with stuff, trying to secure stuff. So this works out really well. Now going down to, so I'll just go over some of this stuff that I keep with me pretty much all the time. Number one is my coyote drag. It's nice if you shoot a coyote at 400 yards, you don't have to, grab them by the paws or whatever, haul them back in. With these, they're long enough. You can just secure it. Like I've got it. You can either do this or around the paws, and then you can drag them back in just on the ground, so they're not so heavy. And then I always have got my scanner. I just picked this up recently. This is a 384 scanner. Honestly, clarity wise, it's really not too bad. Super good for spotting stuff. And I do actually like that the images and the image processing on the Pulsar versus this Burris BTH50, they're a little bit different. So it actually helps in some situations. My Pulsar tends to, if I look at something too close to the horizon, it'll wash out. So sometimes I have a hard time seeing stuff that's further out, whereas this doesn't do that. So I kind of get a little bit of both, which is really nice. But overall, having a hand scanner um, saves your neck. It's just a lot easier. You're quieter because you're not constantly goofing around with your tripod, scanning with your rifle. You can just get your tripod set up, get it stable, and then you're looking around with the hand scanner, trying to find stuff as you're calling. Then I also keep, so I use, this is an Icotech Night Stalker. One of the reasons I went with this unit, there's obviously a lot of calls now. There's Lucky Ducks, all the Fox Pro products. There's a couple different Icotechs, and then there might be a couple more brands, but those I think are the main three. The reason I like this one is the remote range is really good, and it can play two sounds at once, which I do like because you can kind of mix stuff up. It's pretty loud, does really well. I really like the sounds from Boss Predator Acoustics. A lot of his rabbit sounds will have coyotes just hauling in, ready to go. So I've had good luck with those. There is a company, I'm gonna have to think about it. I might have to put in the comments. But so I hate switching batteries out on the calls. It's literally the worst. Those batteries like double A's or whatever, they always take like 12 or 15 or whatever, 16, and they die so fast. So this actually, I upgraded this. It has a um, like a Li-ion whatever battery, and I'll find the guy that makes them and I'll put them in the comments in case, because that's probably the best thing about this is that I'm not blowing through AA batteries all the time. I just pop this out when I get done with my hunt and I just plug it in and it'll go. Some nights I'll hunt. Sometimes I'll hunt 3 or 4 nights and I have never had to charge it. It's never died on me. But I just kind of out of habit, when I get home, I plug it in so that my call is always full. But that is a huge quality of life thing. The way that they set up all these calls, I don't know why so many of them still run off double A's. It's the worst. And the way that they do these little gates sucks. Um, and then I had this lanyard made. I probably am going to change this up just a little bit because occasionally I just recently got this and I just sort of flashed it on here, but occasionally they bump together while I'm walking and it is pretty loud when you're out there trying to be quiet and sneak in. So I'll probably be switching this up soon, maybe having a chest rig to run this in or something like that. So tripod wise, I have used now a few different tripods. I started with a Bog. They're cheap if that's what you can afford. Like you can get away with using a Bog. They're not great. People who tell you they're great don't know any better because they haven't tried anything better. But they're really loud. Those aluminum legs are super loud. If you bump them even slightly, it is super, super loud. The other problem with them is they're really cold. That aluminum, when you're out and it's like 2 degrees out and you go grab that tripod, it will suck the life out of your hands. I mean, it's just freezing. So the carbon fiber is still cold, but not nearly as bad as the Bog. The other thing I love, this is a Fat Boy um, Traverse 2 section. So it's just got, there's only one adjustment point. The feet you can screw in and out and it'll reveal, like, it'll kind of have a little metal foot that comes out. So if you need to do that. But what I love about the Fat Boy is the legs. The way these are machined up here, it's pretty hard for them to touch, so they never slam together. So it's quieter that way. They lock up really nice. It's just a really high quality tripod. But my favorite thing prior to this, I did not have an inverted ball head. And having the inverted ball head at night is super critical because when you're behind your gun, if you're scanning and coyotes coming from this way or this way, whichever way, but you've got your tripod in one spot, sometimes if you don't have an inverted ball head, wherever your lever lock or whatever kind of lock it has, as you turn, that might get into a position where it's hard for you to reach or it's unnatural for you to reach. So with the inverted ball head, the way that you clip your rifle in, it's always right there. So no matter which way you turn, that lockup is in the same spot every time. And so that's super handy. The other thing that I love about this is the Arca clamp up here. It's really easy in the dark just to find it, lock it up, and I never have to worry about this. It's super solid. So I love this tripod. I cannot recommend these ones enough. They're awesome. So I know that there's a lot of different rifles, a lot of different AICS pattern mags. Uh, I love these Amentu ones. I have never had a problem, and they're really affordable. And I love that they're 12 rounds. When I'm out hunting, it's nice to be able to have 12 rounds in here and not have to worry. I can just keep 2 mags on me, 24 rounds. That's plenty for a night hunt. If I get into more coyotes than that, then it's been a crazy night. So this is usually plenty for me. Okay. So one other thing I'm keeping in my kit now, it's pretty early in the season. You can see there's not a lot of snow out. There's a little bit here and there, but this is something. So some nights the moon is pretty bright, and if there's snow on the ground, it kind of reflects. So it can be pretty bright outside. And so this is something I'll be keeping with me later in the season. This is just something to help me conceal myself. I can wrap it around my tripod. I can wrap it around my rifle on those brighter nights when the coyotes can see it pretty well. But this is actually from Relf. So this is their Gen 1, like their anti-thermal veil. I don't even remember exactly what it's called. But I got this last year, and I'm excited to try it out this season and see how it does. But I keep some gear ties with me so I can just stick it on my rifle or whatever. And I've got a way to kind of secure it. They're those rubber night ties. They're kind of like those twisty ties that are reusable. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll probably pause the video. I'm going to get this rigged up just so you can kind of see how you can use it. And then we'll show you guys that. So this is one way that you can set this up so that you've got a little bit, if you're behind the rifle, behind the tripod, and you're moving around scanning, you're not so visible. This kind of gives you a little bit of a shroud. Another way that you can use this, you can secure it on your rifle. I've still got access to the ball head here, so I can move all over. It gives me a little bit of cover, and then it also can help block a little bit of the wind on colder nights. This is obviously a mesh, so it won't be great, but it can kind of keep some of that off of you. But it gives you a little bit of cover, especially when it's more snowy out. It's a good kind of fit for that. The last thing that I was going to cover, I'm not going to go through all my layers just because depending on weather, we kind of, Idaho's kind of known for having crazy weather, so we get a lot of stuff. But for the most part, you will not find me out night hunting without these Cryptek bibs. They're super warm. The boot, it's easy to get your boots on and off if you got to drive farther and you actually want to take your big warm boots off. This thing zips all the way up past my hip. So I'm able to get my legs in and out. I can put my boots on, take the bibs off, all that stuff super easy. So these are really, really handy. They're really warm. Most nights, unless it's really cold, I literally just wear these and a light jacket and I'm warm enough. Some good gloves. But I can just add or subtract layers up top. But for the most part, on colder nights, I may wear a set of thermals under here and then maybe a set of or a pair of sweatpants. But that's pretty much it. These bibs, they are so awesome. They're really quiet. They're really comfortable, and they've got good pockets. So overall, I have loved these. This is actually my first real. This is my first Cryptek product. I've always had Sitka gear for hunting, but I think going forward, I will probably be buying Cryptek gear pretty much all of my gear in the future because how much I've loved these. They've been awesome. So yeah, that's my stuff. That's what I've been using a night hunt. It's been a lot of fun. It's a fun thing to get into, and I wanted to film this just so if anyone had any questions, but then also for me down the road, so I can look back as my gear changes and as I learn things, that I've got something to kind of look back on. So yeah, anyways, thanks for checking it out.